Here we are. Welcome back. Episode 8 of Fairgame. Today we are joined in the studio, the three of us. Unfortunately, Lauren O'Brien, our regular partner in crime, is sick. Sad girl. So
we miss you, Lauren.
But it's here today with Powerhouse Pink Lady Jacket Day, and I missed the memo.
But we're coordinated. You have your green.
Yes.
So we're still
Global Gaming Women Green.
Yes.
We're on brand.
We're on brand.
Definitely on brand. And speaking of brand, today we're going to talk about something that's like the coolest new brand thing ever, which is data science and AI.
Of course.
Holy moly.
One of my favorite topics too.
I know, right?
Techie.
Well, I feel like we've been talking about having this topic for 7 episodes? That's like, it's been a while, but this is probably one of the most asked after topics, just generally when we go to GGW events, and especially with the younger demographic of women in gaming today, understanding what is this AI thing and what does it mean?
Yes.
So I'm going to use a topical example because I used, for those of you that don't know, I recently, in the last couple of months have changed careers. And
Congrats.
Thank you. It's very exciting. But I said, oh man, I really got to update my LinkedIn profile, right? Because that's a thing.
We love LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like the new, I don't know. It's the thing.
First impression. Online presence is your first impression.
It's your brand, right?
Exactly.
Do you have an AI headshot?
Oh, yes. The AI apps. Yes.
I mean, can you tell? I mean, I'm just saying. It's amazing. And not only that, I had ChatGPT write my entire LinkedIn profile.
Oh, brilliant.
So I'm telling all the secrets. Don't tell anybody. I mean, we told everybody, but amazing. I was able to just type in a couple of things and say, like, this is what's different with me. Come up with a cool profile. Literally wrote those words. And bam, paragraphs of amazing. I sound so amazing. And I didn't write one word of it, right?
Yes. I've noticed that LinkedIn also has been offering, right? Like when you write up a post, they're like,
you want to rewrite it.
Exactly, with AI.
I'm like, is something wrong with this?
I know. I'm like, I'm
always
slightly
check.
offended. Yeah. I know.
Well, it's just one way I think that we can kind of get into this topic, right? Because I think it's a great example. So just to break it up, because this is a Casino 101 episode, so I'm going to give you a little nerd town here.
We love it.
Yeah, so let's go with like the layman's terms of what we've been talking about today. We're going to have an amazing guest who is going to way even over my head on this topic. But data science is really what, quote, combines statistical methods and technology to generate meaning from data. Whoa. That's a lot, but generally we collect all this stuff all the time, right? When you think about technology, and this is actually using that to do cool, I'm going to use a bad word, cool stuff. I'm not going to use a bad word. And then basically data science is the base of that. And then artificial intelligence is a way to take it one step further, where you're actually making things. You're using that data to solve cognitive problems commonly associated with human intelligence. So, whoa, scary. Have you seen AI movies, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's awesome. It's a super up and coming topic as it relates to casino, because again, there's so much opportunity of what we can do with it in our industry. So very cool, very exciting. There's an article out today about International Gaming Institute put out an article and specifically said casinos that effectively use player data witnessed 27% increase in player engagement and a 14% increase in customer retention.
Oh, it's incredible.
And if you know anything about marketing, those are massive numbers.
Yes.
Retention is in engagement are two huge factors in a huge market share and how you keep customers around. So if we can use stuff that we already have in a smart way to keep them, whoa,
Work
right?
smarter, not harder.
I mean, and that's really the beauty of AI and kind of this new technology, because it allows you to take that information that you already have and process it like at record speed. I mean, we're starting to do that already in terms of looking at your data, but really figuring out what are the things that are going to make the biggest impact. And you can see immediate, like once you get to that level of understanding, here are the things that are going to impact your business most effectively. Like, it really is great to see.
Game changer.
Yes, it's great to see how everything's coming together and how this technology that, pretty much existed before, but now is really maturing and coming to this point where it's accessible to everyone.
Yeah. And I think about the years and years of historical information, right? When you think about a slot machine, whoo, it's like it's just like a pot of gold sitting there ready for us, right? Dive right in. So we're going to talk a ton about kind of how some tangible examples of how we've been doing this in gaming with our guest, specifically about personalized marketing, right? How can we use this to, again, retain and get new customers? Because obviously, casino gaming is old school and people think like, oh, people in the oxygen tanks are leaving. We got to get new meat, right? So a little bit of that and some really neat stuff in game design using AI and kind of how do I change the experience mid-game? What? That's crazy. And then obviously the cool stuff about kind of fraud and how you can do things with, signifying guests and whales and all that before, today, all that happens in, arrears, and now you can do it in real time, which is kind of crazy sauce.
So good.
So much opportunity, and I'm sure our guest is going to tell us so much more about it. But I'm going to leave, before we intro our guest, I'm going to leave one more quote we got from Forbes. Innovation with responsibility can help the gaming industry embrace predictive AI and make gaming safer and more enjoyable and more profitable. The reason I say that quote is because everybody wants to make more money. And frankly, this industry has innovated a lot over the last few years, but like this is the space that's going to change where we take this and how casinos realize new revenue. So it's going to be awesome. I think that's why everybody's so curious about it. And and so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk more about it with somebody that actually knows what she's talking about and not reading a bunch of quotes. So we're going to introduce Frazier Seay-Rad. So she is currently overlooking the interactive division at ESPN Bet, PENN Entertainment, and The Score Media. So lots and lots, with a really up and coming both sportsbook and online casino space. So let's bring her in. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay. Welcome, Frazier. Welcome to the show, Frazier.
Welcome.
Hello. Hey, everyone. So great to see everybody here.
Thank you for joining us. We were just talking about how this topic is like the coolest and neatest and funnest topic that we get all kinds of requests for. So when I ran into Frazier here in Vegas, she was here at a conference. I was like, you have to come on this podcast because you're talking about things and they're way over my pay scale and my educational level here about all this data science stuff. So could you come help us out? So tell us just a little bit about yourself, maybe.
Yeah, totally. So my data career goes back a little ways, but I actually always wanted to be an investigator, right? And so I thought that I wanted to be in criminal justice. And my, family was like, hey, maybe that's not the best idea for you. Like, can you do something that doesn't require you to wear a bulletproof vest every day? So I did the corporate side of policing known as audit. And I did that for a while, fell in love with the data side, automated some audits. It's really normal in the audit world to do a sample size of 25, regardless of the population. So I actually just decided to automate an entire audit. And I didn't really know what that meant at the time. So my 9 to 5 was audit, but then my 5 to 9 was learning everything I could about SQL, Python, anything under the sun. And that just bloomed. And that's taken me through corporate strategy, finance, marketing, all different areas of analytics, and now into this casino and sports betting space and into the data realm and AI and all things like that.
That's so crazy. So how did you jump from into the casino? How did you get oh, this sounds like a good idea? Did you just find it online or did somebody say, hey, you should try this casino thing?
Yeah, somebody actually reached out to me on LinkedIn. They were like, you should really try this in this space. I had lived in Vegas at the time, so I was all around, casinos, but I didn't have a ton of experience. But I also didn't have a ton of experience in the things before that either. So I was learning everything. My new 5 to 9 after that came learning about everything casino related, sportsbook related, all the things. And so then I actually started off as a strategic analytics manager over just casino. And then that has bloomed into a more of a non-wagering section. So compliance, fraud, stuff like that on the data science side. But now is the non-wagering. So all of those things as well, in addition to sportsbook and casino.
Yeah. So you had the innate audit in you, and then the data side and the casino side just kind of hooked you in. And I bet once you got into gaming, you were like, wow, there's a lot of information going on here, much big sample sizes than 25, right? And you started saying, wow, this is really cool. We could do a lot with this. So tell us a little bit about kind of what you're doing, explain what you do with the data at PENN and the Score Media today. What are you kind of functioning for in layman's terms? Because a lot of the people out there obviously don't know the specifics of things, but kind of explain, I don't want to say the word dumb it down, but, give us a little bit of a highlight.
Yeah, totally. So I guess whenever I meet people that aren't super familiar with data science, I'm like, you really are, you just don't know it, right? So if you look at things like Netflix, they have a recommended for you section, right? Or if you've ever downloaded TikTok, you have fallen into the data science trap. And the idea is that, the better the data science, like the more seamless it's going to feel, and it's going to feel like something's in your brain giving you exactly what you want. And so that's usually how I explain it to people that are familiar, beyond just like the sports betting casino space, but then specific to sports betting and casino is recommending games, right? Or making predictions even about the future. So you may want to know, like, how are my customers going to churn? Where do we optimize our promotions, right? There is no limit to what data science can really do. And I usually make the distinction of traditional like business intelligence. So reporting, dashboarding stuff, that's all the historical stuff, which is totally valuable. And then the data science team uses all of that data to then make these predictions or recommendations or personalize, the experience for the users, right?
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love that you use the example of recommenders, because I can't live without my Amazon recommender.
Oh yeah.
I buy everything that it tells me to buy, and everybody knows that, right? I'm sure you guys have like the
Yeah,
recommendation
Completely
engines.
agree. I know. I also very much appreciate my Instagram ads. I look forward to them. I'm like, all right, tell me what I don't know I need yet.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, because what we're trying to explain to people is we're changing the offering, right? What people expect today, traditional casinos, you show up, you engage, you do what you want. Now, in order to keep guests, you have to give them something different, and you have to give them something personalized to them that they can't get next door, right? So you're totally changing that up. So tell us about some interesting projects you've been working on and some neat things that you've been doing in that space.
Yeah, totally. So with Gen AI being so big, right? And there's a little distinction between the AI space and the data science space, but I like to think of that as, these LLMs or large language models, which if you've used ChatGPT, that's what that's powered off of, are using a lot of this machine learning as well. And so one of the things that we've done recently, which I think is really, really cool, is tapped into that. So we're using Google's Gemini, so the ChatGPT equivalent, to put that simply. And we have hit APIs to ingest competitor reviews, right? So the DraftKings, the FanDuels. And we've basically said, the idea of let's comb through a bunch of user reviews, we want to listen to the voice of the customer, but how do you do that in a way that makes sense where you can get all of your, you want to look at it in one place. And you want to be able to look at insights and derive those very quickly. And instead of combing through, you don't have to do that anymore. So we actually just hit a bunch of APIs to pull all of these different reviews down and then create these like a conversational chatbot around it, right? And we tagged all the topics. So there's, payment section, account issues, 30 different topics that are the most commonly discussed. And then from there, choose whatever you're interested in, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're in the sports book like vertical and you're on that product, you might not necessarily care as much about the casino or vice versa, right? And you want to see what people are saying about your area. So what you do is, you pick and choose what you want to see. You choose the time period that you want to see it, and you hit generate summary. And within seconds, you're getting, here's what everybody is saying about PENN Entertainment, ESPN Bet, the score bet. Here's what people are saying about that same topic area for your competitors. And then you can interact and ask questions. So if you want to say, well, what are the immediate next steps that I could take to improve, let's just say account issues, right? You're able to do that, and you're able to use the power of these large language models to synthesize that information. And now it's in the palm of your hand, right? So the extensive market research, you're not limited to just that. And you're able to see everything at once. And so that's just the beginning stages, right? We want to do things with all of Twitter feeds, right? Or X now. Maybe it's Eilers, right? Any kind of information that we can pull out, because at the end of the day, this business is about your customers, right? And giving them what they want. And the way that things are moving so fast, you have to be, like I've always said, you can be the first or you can be the best. And it is a lot harder to be the best, right? You can get that quick win in being the first. So that's a huge project where I think we're really a differentiator. We're talking about this, conjuring up this idea, and it's like, this feels like a startup idea, right? But it's leveraging all of this. And our time from like ideation to deployment was a month, which is crazy because normally, data science projects of this caliber would take 6, 7, 8 months to be able to do.
Wow.
And then put that into all the product, owners' hands through like a website is basically what they're able to interact with.
That's insane, right? So you think, and when she told me about this project originally, I thought the man hours that we have spent historically to kind of like put
Yes.
together the information from all these different places, and now basically just like boop 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 boop.
I mean,
Okay,
it's speed to market, and you can't really beat
Yes.
that. I love the idea of, you want to be the best. In order to be the best, we talked about this earlier, you have to have the data. You have to understand, and not just the data, you need to be able to kind of understand and how to really use it. So I love that.
Yeah.
Love so.
Efficiencies.
One of many amazing projects coming out of this. I guess one question is, and just from your perspective, because you've seen a lot going on, both with online space and sports betting and just entertainment in general. I know you like to stay on top of everything, which I love. I follow her on LinkedIn. It's always interesting. So tell us a little bit where you think there's some untapped opportunity for our space and our industry, and kind of what we're not doing yet, which is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so I think kind of piggybacking on the last one, there's a lot of brick and mortar places too, right? And Google reviews are there. So I think you could add on and look at all of the Google reviews for every property and do the same thing. So I think that's an untapped area. We're just scratching the surface. But there's also a lot more than just that, right? Like AI generated bet slips where it's, possible. Fraud detection, card fraud is huge in this space. And so how quickly can you identify fraudulent users and go ahead and lock those accounts, right? That we're even diving into the world of graph databases. So think of finding friends of friends on like Facebook or something. That all works on these graph webs to be able to get that information. And historically, that's been really tough with traditional rows and columns. It's just very computationally expensive. So being able to find people sharing devices, people, teleporting is what we would call it, right? Where, you're maybe not in a legal betting state, but somehow you've, geolocated in a space the first time, and, somebody else is logging in on your account in a separate state, right? We can pick up on things like that. I mean, that seems like a huge area that's definitely coming. And there's a lot of providers that do that as well. And then even gamifying the experience more, right? These are people that genuinely love to play games and to participate. So how can you, keep them interested and engaged, and do like, you could even, have storylines for games, right? Or progressive slot machines, even putting stuff out there, tapping into what people are interested in and kind of shifting their focus a little bit to the areas of maybe you have better promotions or anything like that. We're not getting anywhere. We're not leaving the AI space, right? That's going to be a new norm. And so I think it's important for businesses to lean into it. There are a lot of, I would say, caveats and things that you have to pay attention to, but like anything else, like you just can't be afraid of it, right? Like there's a point where people were afraid of like VHS systems. So that being said, right, like this is just the new normal. And so adapting and there's just so much you could do, right? Like, I know I just mentioned a couple, but what if you had in your system a way of like, having tutorials where you could easily chat with a chat bot. It's not even a real human. And you could say, well, maybe I don't know what a money line is because I'm brand new to this space, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be able to play. And you could do that in a low risk environment, have some, fake money or whatever, and be able to have conversations with what feels like a tutor in the space. So those are just a couple of areas that I see as being, on the brink of innovation that will be absolutely huge in the coming months. Really.
And then in like 10 years, they'll be talking about that being the last VHS tape, right?
Exactly.
Because it's going to keep moving that fast. So amazing stuff. And I think some of it, a lot of our listeners are like, whoosh, that's a lot. And to consume, like you dropped a lot of terminology that I think I've heard on like Star Trek and, like things like that. That's what they think in their mind, right? So explain to us a little bit about where you think people, because I think a great question people say is, this is the future. So how can I learn?
Yes.
Where can I go to just get the basics so I can start understanding if this is going to be something from a skill set perspective that I need to acquire? What should I do to kind of get out there and start learning about it? So
in that 5 to 9, I like the way you articulated that. Yes.
So where's the 5 to 9? Where do these ladies go? How do they start learning about this stuff? Suggestions.
Yeah. So honestly, I use Gemini for almost everything. So I will use that like a search engine, right? And I've asked questions like, where can I learn more about this? I actually was doing that a little while ago. I was like, what conferences are available, within the sports betting and casino space, and you just get an entire list, right? So like Disney has like a conference that they do around analytics. So I think conferences are a good way. Google has theirs. Also, just learning, I always like to type in, maybe it's like data science and then the competitor name, just reading articles, figuring out what they're doing. But then to break it down, I didn't have this very academic background in this space, but I was able to learn it and learn things quickly. And a lot of it was just having a very curious mind and not being afraid of asking questions. With LinkedIn being there, networking, asking questions, like I am not afraid to reach out to anybody on LinkedIn. And I would encourage people to do that too.
Yes.
And say, hey, I just want to learn more about what you do. People love to talk about what they do. So if you're reaching out, you're asking for 5-10 minutes of somebody's time just to kind of get like an overview. When it comes to, then that's more on like the business side or the strategy side, right? But if it comes down to you actually want to acquire a skill and you're sitting in a chair today in a university and you don't know what the future looks like, and maybe this is a very interesting space, I would encourage people to stick out the math courses. I didn't do that. And then I had a really hard time. I was reading all the For Dummies books. So I learned from my experience there. But, learning a lot about what you're actually trying to solve, right? If you can, sometimes the most impactful business problems don't need the most complex solution, and simplicity is really key. And so I think if you're trying to learn that, it's keeping that mindset the entire time. Otherwise, developers love to develop. That's like a common saying. And so if you give somebody 6-8 months to develop, they're going to take the entire time. And so I think time boxing yourself, not getting overwhelmed either, because there's so much out there, and just focusing on one area. If you're interested in recommenders, that in itself is an entire discipline and domain that you could learn and work in for an entire career, right? But if you start looking at, well, I want to do recommenders, I want to do forecasting, I want to do this, all these different things, that's when I think it feels like I don't even know where to start, and I feel like I'm underwater. So I would suggest people picking like the one area that really interests them, what their goal is, and working backwards and leveraging the tools that are out there. You can have, some of these Gen AI models out there, like you can go to gemini.google.com, right? Or use ChatGPT and say, create a study guide. I want to learn like 80% of the information in 20% of the time. Create a study guide for me to learn about data science, and you will get something that's incredible as a starting point.
Such good advice. Oh my goodness.
And such good prompts too.
Yeah.
That's
using the stuff you're trying to learn about the stuff you're trying to use. That is amazing. Amazing. So we are going to recommend, and we'll definitely, we have a space on our website where we put some of this Casino 101 stuff now. So we'll definitely make sure that some of the recommendations that Frazier has had will go up onto the website. And Frazier, we do a little bit before we let you go, because that was insightful, but we want to have a little bit of fun. So we do a thing at the end of every episode called rapid fire questions. So what we do is we just kind of like go around really quick answers. We have a couple technology, what I would call technology edition, because I'm a nerd, she's a nerd. I'm in great company nerd wise today. So we're gonna do a little tech side. So what we'll do is we'll just ask a question, and then we'll just go around quick, and then we'll learn a little bit more about each other. So number one question, we'll start with Anika. On a level from 1 to 10, how would you rate your tech, quote, savviness?
So 1 being good or 1 being
One
bad?
being bad.
I would say 9.
9?
Ooh,
Hey,
love that
girl.
confidence.
That is. Okay, 9 it is. Bronwyn?
Okay, so relative, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. Right, who are we comparing it to? But maybe like a 7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's still a great number. Okay.
Confident, but not that confident.
Frazier, she dropped a 9 over here. I'm just saying. So how are you feeling?
I think she's supposed to be like
11.5.
I would go to 7-8 for me, honestly.
What?
I know about this one space, but there is so much out there. I feel like I'm learning every day.
I love how curious she is too, right? So I would say the same thing. Like, I feel it changes every day. So I'm probably like in the 6-7 range, because it changes. I think I know something, and the next day it's totally different. So
Anika,
love
you're a
technology.
genius.
No.
Girl.
I'm just curious, and I have lots of nieces and nephews that keep me like.
Yes,
Oh, that's a good point. Great point.
So true.
Okay, so number 2 question, Frazier, to you.
Yes.
What is the app you use the most on your phone? And it's okay. All your secrets are out. Yeah, whatever it really is.
I would say it's a tie between Snapchat and LinkedIn. I actually deleted Instagram and
Ooh.
TikTok. I'm going on a little detox. But before that, it was definitely TikTok. But then I found out that Snapchat has the same sort of like Reels feature.
Oh.
So
Oh, wow. See, secrets are out. How about you?
I would definitely say Spotify. Spotify for sure. Instagram would be like number 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would think I am a music head, so Apple Music all the time, but I have not deleted TikTok, so I will admit that I do go down rabbit hole for a minute.
Oh, no. And I had TikTok for maybe like a week, and I watched every single clean talk, which is a thing, by the way, where you watch people cleaning.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
Oh, and I got obsessed and I had to take it off because I was like, this is not healthy for me. Yeah, totally not healthy.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, number 3, Bronwyn. This is a funny one. Scroll or stream more?
Okay. Probably, I don't know, maybe an even tie.
Yeah.
Maybe stream. I love to like, I go down like YouTube rabbit holes when I'm planning trips. And I love to watch, right, like all the, videos of where I want to go and plan out my itinerary. So
good call. Good call. How about you, Nika?
I think it's scroll because it's easier to do traveling. So I'm always kind of scrolling kind of everywhere.
Everywhere you are, you're always there.
Like I'm always looking, even in the store. I'm like, okay, is this a good thing? Research.
Yeah. How about you, Miss Frazier? What do you think? Scroll or stream?
I'm a doom scroller all day. I get caught up. Even Amazon. Like I will look at all the curated things and the list of here's all the things you're probably gonna like, and I will scroll through that.
So, and I would say the same thing. Like I would call it doom, and I doom scroll through the stream networks. Like, what do I want to watch? I never actually watch anything.
That is true.
Yeah,
because
I don't think that looks good.
I'm like,
that is true.
In the spiral of picking things, and I'm like, ooh, this all looks so good, and then I switch platforms and go again, right? Yeah, totally understand that. Okay, so this is a throwback question. I'm showing my age here. When did you get your first cell phone, and what kind was it, Bronwyn?
So I was 14. It was this like clunky gray flip phone that lasted forever. I don't even remember what it was called, but I had it for years.
Yeah. I mean, flip phones came back now, right? Like this is a thing.
Yeah.
They're so well made. Anika, how about you?
Wow, I think this is showing my age too. I think I was probably in college, and it probably was a little Nokia flip phone or something like that.
I knew someone was going to drop the Nokia. I knew they were going to do that, and I lived on my Nokia, like pressing the buttons to text.
Yeah,
you know,
yes, exactly.
Showing the age. Yeah. Well, now, and my niece now, who just turned, my goddaughter who just turned 9, has her own phone, and she's like teaching me how to use it. Right.
Oh yeah.
Frazier, how about you?
Probably Motorola Razor. I don't know how old I was though, but man, that was the coolest thing to have.
That was, and that was the hit for a while.
Razor.
Everyone wanted it, right?
I had the ugly gray phone, and I wanted a Razor so bad.
You can have a Razor now.
I know, maybe. Yeah, childhood dreams come true.
Yeah,
I might do it.
All right, last question: if you had a time machine, Frazier, when and where would you go?
I'm going to the beginning of time.
Ever?
Ooh.
Yeah, I just want to see what's there,
Yeah. You might be alone and there might be some like pits of despair, but you're going and you're going to see what it's all about.
That is deep.
Right.
It's a deep answer. I like it.
Yeah.
She's a deep lady. How about you?
I think I think I would do well in the 70s. So I would like to experience that. That's where I would go.
Groovy.
Yeah, groovy.
You would do well in those bell bottoms. I've seen, yeah. Anika, how about you?
I'm a sci-fi. I want to go to the future.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Oh my gosh, those are great. That was a spread right there. The beginning, the middle, and the end. I love it. I will go with all of you. That is my answer.
Yes,
I think that's so exciting. And Frazier, thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on. Obviously, you're very intelligent about this space. We love that you didn't start here and you just got so curious to go learn it. Yes. I think that's a huge takeaway.
5 to 9. That's amazing. Transferable skill sets, positioning yourself. I mean, that is so insightful.
Yeah. And we can't wait to share this with our listeners because I think there's so many of them that are curious just like you, but maybe needed to hear that it's okay to jump the ledge and just try it. And especially that it's out there and it's open and you don't necessarily have to know everything. You can go find it if you are willing to go put in the 5 to 9. So thank you for joining us. I'm sure you're going to hear from some of our listeners as time goes on. But again, if you, we're going to take questions to our Fairgame fairgame@globalgamingwomen.org. So if you do have any questions, both for us, this episode, for Frazier, we'll definitely pass them along. Other topics of interest for sure. And Frazier, we're so excited. Everyone and their mom's going to go follow you on LinkedIn now and watch this journey that you're on. So thank you so much for joining us. And and that's a wrap for this episode. We appreciate it.
Hey, likewise. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. And thank you, Light and Wonder, again, for letting us use this amazing studio. So we'll see you back for episode 9.
Absolutely.